This is as much as I can recall of important events and happenings of my 4 years, 4 months in the military service during World War II. I entered the service in July of 1941. The war hadn't been declared yet. Pearl Harbor didn't take place. And as a youngster growing up, I always liked to read history and things like that. And I had an uncle who was killed in World War I. And I always felt that I would be going to war and I'd end up like him being killed. So I knew I was going to go into the war when it first started. I volunteered for the draft and went in at Fort Des Moines, Iowa. We shipped out of there and was sent to Camp Roberts, California, which is halfway between Los Angeles and San Francisco. They were good places to go to on weekend and 3-day passes. While there, as a recruit, we trained on the 155 howitzers. I made acting corporal the third day I was with the training battalion because I had experience in the CC camp of military life. I was ahead of the other recruits because he didn't have that training. After about 3 weeks, they made me an acting sergeant. That was a pretty good deal for me because I didn't have to do KP or walk guard or anything like that. I had the privileges of non-com. The first training period that I stayed there, I was a corporal, and the second one then made sergeant, and I was in charge of a section. I had a corporal with me, and we trained the men in marching, in gunnery, artillery practice, and you taught them chemical warfare, putting on the gas mask, and rifle fire. It was demanding work if you wanted to do the right job and train the men properly. After I was there for a while, I finally was moved up to the 1st platoon. Then I became the platoon sergeant. And while I was platoon sergeant for about 4 training periods, we were always the best in marching and in marksmanship. We always won the prize for qualifying the highest number of riflemen. Also in marching, we always got to carry the guidon for the company because we would win the contest in marching. While there, I made a lot of good friends with sergeants and corporals who were there and cooks. One of them was Sergeant Ching that I went overseas with, and another one was Sergeant Anderson. I went overseas with him also, and we were assigned to the same battalion when we got to Italy. Charlie Galligaris, my good friend to this day, is from Illinois. He came in as a recruit and stayed there. He was another good friend. One of the, I suppose, interesting periods we had there was when Van Heflin, the movie actor, came in to our outfit as a lieutenant. That was the year that he won the Academy Award for the Best Supporting Actor. Needless to say, the big shots from Hollywood is up there all the time taking his pictures, and we got a lot of notoriety that way. After 2 years of doing that, I was shipped out. I always thought I was going to go to the Pacific, but they shipped me out and went to Italy. I got into Italy, saw combat north of Rome, up to the Arno River, and then into the Apennines as the mountainous region, and that was rough going up there because I was in an armored division and we were in tanks. It would be pretty muddy and slippery and icy up there in those mountains. I think we feared that more than we did gunfire from the Germans. After we spent the winter up there in the mountains, and we broke out into the Po Valley and swept up there up to Switzerland and got to the Lake Country, and that's where the war ended. Just towards the tail end of the war, I saw Mussolini, the leader of the Italian people during the first part of the war. He was captured by the partisans, that was their own people, and executed. And when we saw him, he was hanging upside down with Carlotta and a few of his other friends in a filling station. We drove right by him, and of course we didn't know who it was until a couple of days later. Then they said that it was, so I got to see Mussolini executed. We didn't know we were going to be shipped over to Japan for the war over there or what we were going to do. In that interim, I made first sergeant, and I was assigned to service battery, and then we found out we were going up to Germany for occupation duty. We got up there, and the first place was at Mannheim, and then we were transferred up to Grosvenor Road, which is right below Frankfurt. Was there probably 3 months, and then I was sent home via France on the ship. And the big thing that I remember, I landed in the United States on my birthday in October of '45. The thing that I remember about my war experience was the good friendships I made with a lot of people, and the fact that I thought the dropping of the atomic bomb saved a lot of lives, whereas it caused a lot of death. Had we had to invade Japan, there would have been a lot more civilians killed and a lot more Americans. I could have been one of them, because we'd have probably had to been shipped over there. Last year, Roger and my wife went back to Germany. We saw a couple of the places where I was stationed there, and the thing that amazed me is the progress was made and how nice a country looks compared to what it was right after the war. My experience meant a lot to me in my later years to appreciate all the good things we have in this country. Thank you.